So how do you register on Binance? So simply put, you can find our platform by typing in the search bar www.binance.com, and essentially you'll be directed to our homepage, which you can see here. And there are essentially two buttons to register. You click on register now. It'll direct you to our landing page to register. You enter your email, password, and then what happens there is you will receive a verification code to then enter. As you can see here, you receive it via the email. This will contain about a 6-digit numerical code, and then you enter that into the verification code section. And then that's pretty much it. It's actually really simple to register an account. What we do find is we do have some users struggle to receive this email verification. So if that's the case, please double check your spam and junk folder. If it's still not there, you need to try to whitelist the Binance email address. And I've provided an FAQ guide right there to show you how to do this. But essentially, it allows you to manually receive emails from these Binance addresses. So that should solve the issue. If that still doesn't solve the issue, you can contact our live chat support, where you can speak to a customer support agent directly, and they'll be able to diagnose and further assist you with your email registration. So let's move on to the next section. So this next section, you actually need to prepare. So you actually need an ID documentation. This could be a passport, an ID card, or driver's license, and a photo of a selfie/headshot. How to actually verify your identity on Binance. So it's actually really simple to verify your identity. You can find it by going on the homepage, going in the navigation bar, clicking on this icon. That's your profile icon here, and then clicking on identification. You'll then be directed to the identification page, which you can see on the right. And then you just click on verify. It's as simple as that. Now, there are 3 steps to verifying your account. The first step is filling out basic account information. So this is essentially, your first name, your middle name, your last name, your date of birth, your residential address, your postal code, all of the things that you would expect from registering an account. And then once you've completed that, then it moves into the ID documentation. So like I mentioned before, there are 3 types of documentation that we accept, which is ID card, passport, and driver's license. And you're able to choose one of these 3 options to then upload the documentation. Now, once you've uploaded the documentation, the last step, which is the selfie or portrait photo. Now, this is a way for us to be able to match your face with your identity documentation. So definitely, if you have a kind of a photo in your kind of computer, definitely upload that. If you don't have any, then you can take a photo, a live selfie. But essentially, once you've done all of those 3, then your verification has been sent to review. And typically, it takes a couple of minutes to a few hours for your verification to be processed. Now, some helpful tips and advice. So again, apologies for my illustration on the left, but I think it's good to illustrate these because obviously some users do have problems with their verification status. So, one first tip is, take the photo from a bird's eye view, a 180-degree angle on a white background. So as you can see here, I'm looking pretty much, I've got the camera parallel with the documentation, and I'm taking it as I'm looking down, like a bird, pretty much. And second is to ensure that the photo is clear and visible without any glares of sunlight. So make sure when you do take the photo that there's no glares, that you actually can read all the lettering within the documentation quite clearly. This third point is actually very important. Provide ID documentation from the country you're living in, and make sure that the ID is actually up to date. Some users actually provide documentation from different country of residence. Please make sure that you are providing documentation from the country you are living in, as it might not be fully processed correctly. And then the last is ensure your face is free from obstruction. So make sure you don't wear any glasses, and make sure that your face is quite clear without any hair, covering your eyes, or don't wear any hats. So essentially, those are the good examples. Some bad examples. I kind of want to go briefly touch on some of the bad examples. So the first example, so you can clearly see that the photo is blurred, and that there is some lettering behind documentation. Now this wouldn't be accepted. The second example, you can actually clearly see the lettering, but because the angle of the passport is not 180-degree angle, this would actually not be accepted as well. The third example, well, this is pretty self-explanatory. The face is half cut, you can't read, and you can't see the whole passport, so this would be also rejected. And the third, although you can see the passport within the photo, it's a 180-degree angle, there's actually a glare. So you actually can't read the information on the photo clearly. So all of these examples would fail. And I think it's good to kind of illustrate so that you can better avoid and actually manage your verification process really simply. So once you've verified your account and it's actually approved, you now have unlocked some limits for your account. And what I mean by this is, for fiat, for depositing and withdrawing, you actually unlock about £43,000 per day. So that means you can deposit up to £43,000 and you can withdraw up to £43,000 per day. Just a small note, we do actually limit single transactions to 4,000. So what this means is you can actually only do one transaction of 4,000 every time. So what this means is essentially it just means you need to do multiple £4,000 of transactions if you want to deposit more than 4,000 for the day. And to unlock further fiat limits, you need to complete address verification, which I'll kind of touch on in the next slide. For the cryptocurrencies aspect, you actually have a daily deposit limit of unlimited, so you can actually deposit as much as you would like. And with the account verification, you actually increase your withdrawal limit to 100 BTC or equivalent. So how to verify your address? So this would only be for select users that want to increase their fiat deposit and withdrawal limits to £172,000. You can verify your address by clicking on the verify button below. You can only do this after you complete and successfully pass identity verification previously. So again, some kind of summary of the helpful tips and advice. So if your verification keeps getting rejected, the main reasons is that the simplest of glares will kind of reject the documentation, or if there's bad lighting, or if the angle of the photo is not 180 degrees. These reasons can often cause rejections. So please try again submitting your photo using the tips I mentioned previously, and hopefully you can actually start to get approved. If you still have issues, obviously you'll need to contact our customer support via live chat. Some helpful tips is if you do contact live support, please attach an ID documentation of the passport, driver's license, or ID card, and also attach a video recording of yourself holding up the ID documentation. If you do these two first, it will help to speed up the process of actually getting your account verified. Once you've registered an account, once you've verified your account, the next stage is to deposit funds. So there's actually two ways of depositing funds in your Binance account. There's fiat currencies and there's cryptocurrencies. So like I mentioned before, fiat currencies are traditional currencies that are government backed. We use these on a day-to-day basis. This is the pounds, this is the US dollar, this is the euro. Essentially, there's two ways to deposit fiat currencies. There's bank transfers, and this is via faster payments. And then there's the bank card, and this is via Visa or MasterCard. Now, the second way to deposit funds is through cryptocurrencies, and we use something called a crypto deposit address, which I'm going to touch on later on in this section. But let's start with actually depositing fiat funds like GBP. So like I mentioned before, there's two ways to deposit fiat funds. There's the bank transfer and there's the bank card. You can actually access these two methods by going on the homepage, going on the navigation bar, click on buy crypto, which you can see here, and make sure that you select GBP as your local currency, and then click on back deposit. So what this does is it will direct you onto this page, which you actually can see here on the bottom. There are two sections. There's the faster payments and there's the bank card. Click on faster payments and you can see here on the right, you can enter your amount. Once you've entered the amount, then you are given certain bank details. So essentially these bank details that are presented on the right, you will need to now go to your bank account, whether that's mobile banking or you log in via desktop. You will now have to add Binance as a new payee, and to send, essentially you send funds from your bank account to this bank details. So just one thing to note, that these bank details that you can see on the right, these are individual, these are unique and different to each individual user. So these details will be unique to me. Everyone has different details that they need to send funds into, and it's our way to uniquely identify which user gets which funds. So something to keep note of is we do see some users actually incorrectly, misspelling certain characters or not including the reference code. Please make sure that you enter all of this information correctly via your bank, because you may risk losing funds, or the funds won't be processed on time. I've also provided a full guide on how to deposit GBP via fast payments at the bottom of this slide, so you can essentially start bank transferring funds this way. Now the second way, like I mentioned before, is via bank card. This is quite simple. You just type in, you click on bank card, Visa, MasterCard, you type in the amount, and then you are given a form to fill out your card information, etc., like your card number, your expiry date, your security code, and then essentially your billing address, and then you click pay now, and then essentially the funds are transferred from your bank card to your Binance account. Now, typically, faster payments and bank card transfers will take a few minutes to a few hours, and you can actually see your transfers by just scrolling down on this page to the fiat deposit history, which you can see here, and you can actually see here all the attempts that you've made, the status of that, whether it's processing, successful, or failed. After some time, when the bank deposits or the bank transfers have been successfully approved, you'll be able to see the GBP in your account. To be able to do this, hover over Wallet on the top navigation bar, click on Fiat and Spot. You'll be directed to your wallet page. Essentially, type in GBP, and then you'll be able to see your GBP amount in this page, essentially. So that's essentially, that kind of summarizes how to deposit GBP into your bank account. Now we're going to touch on how to deposit crypto funds. Now, in order for me to discuss this, I kind of want to just take a step back and give some context, because I think this sort of depositing crypto is quite complicated to newcomers. So I kind of want to give an illustration with Alice and Bob. So we have two people here. We have Alice and Bob. Essentially, Alice wants to send some money to Bob. Now, in traditional sense, via your bank, Alice needs to ask Bob, "Hey, Bob, can you give me your full name, your account number, and sort code?" Bob then gives Alice his full name, account number, and sort code. And essentially, Alice would then have to manually go to the bank and actually send funds to Bob this way. So the information required is a full name, account number, and sort code, typically. Now, in crypto, we actually don't ask for full name, account number, or sort code. We ask for something called deposit address. So in this scenario, Alice will ask Bob for their Bitcoin deposit address, and Bob will then give Alice his deposit, a Bitcoin deposit address. Now, I hope that kind of illustrates what information is required. Essentially, a crypto address is a unique lettering system. It's often 26 to 35 characters long, and it basically identifies a unique wallet account. Like a account number and sort code, a crypto address or crypto deposit address is just a unique identifier. It's to identify, a certain wallet or certain account. You actually can think of it, 26 to 35 characters long. It's similar to kind of, a long number in a bank card, for example. Actually, that's 16 digits. So this is roughly 10 more characters longer. So essentially, it's a unique identifier to each individual account. Now, second point is each cryptocurrency has their own unique address formats. So what I mean by this is, let's take Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin, BTC, typically starts with 1, 3, or BC1. So this is an example here of a Bitcoin deposit address. And you can actually see here, I've highlighted in 3, that Bitcoin actually starts, this address starts with BC1. So what this means is this just shows me that this is a Bitcoin deposit address. Now, each different cryptocurrency has their own structure and format. Ethereum will have its own structure. Litecoin will have its own structure. So I think it's also good to mention that. So in case people are wondering, whenever they do deposit funds, just be sure that the address is the correct crypto. On top of that, the third point is every user will have different deposit addresses for each crypto. And what I mean by this is, let's say I have a Bitcoin deposit address, which is BC1QX, this whole series of letters on my Binance account. Now, if you go to your account and you go to your Bitcoin wallet, you actually find out that your Bitcoin deposit address is different to mine. That means that every user will have different deposit addresses for each crypto. So that's just something to keep in mind as we move forward. So moving on to the next slide, again, this is quite a lot, but I think this is really good for referencing if you do want to deposit funds. This is just a step-by-step process. Essentially what I've done here is just Alice and Bob, but instead of Alice and Bob, I've just put Binance Wallet and other wallets. So in this case, Binance Wallet is Bob and other wallets is Alice. You want to send money from other wallets to your Binance Wallet. So essentially, there's a step-by-step guide on how to do this. Long story short, you have to go to your Binance Wallet, find out what your sort of deposit address is, and then go to the other wallet and then initiate that process of transferring. So in short, you go to your fiat and spot wallet by hovering over wallet at the top navigation bar, click on fiat spot, type in the asset that you want to transfer in. So for this case, we want to do Bitcoin. So you type in BTC or Bitcoin. You can see here Bitcoin is right there. You click on deposit, that's next to it. And then you'll be directed to the crypto asset deposit page. You select your appropriate network. So for this case, we want to use Bitcoin to transfer the funds. And then once you click on the network, you then are given a unique deposit address for Bitcoin. So as you can see here, this Bitcoin address starts with 1. So as you can see, what we mentioned previously, this is actually a Bitcoin address because it starts with 1. Now, just something to note, this Bitcoin address is unique to me. So, if I want to send Bitcoin to my own account, I would use this address to then transfer the funds into. You have to do this process for your own wallet because your deposit address will be different to my deposit address. So essentially, I've provided a full guide on how to deposit crypto via deposit address below. You can click on that and it'll give you a more in-depth sort of summary, step-by-step guide, and also show a video as well on how to actually deposit funds to your Binance account. So that's essentially it. It's quite simple. To summarize, there's two ways to deposit funds at Binance. First is through fiat funds, and this is the traditional currencies that me and you are, mostly use. And then there's the second, which is the cryptocurrencies. For the first method to deposit fiat currencies, there's two ways to do this. There's bank transfer, and there's also bank card. And then they both have their own workflows for that. And then the second, for the crypto deposits, you actually have a crypto deposit address, which is unique for each cryptocurrency. So just to kind of summarize and give you some helpful advice, I get a lot of these questions, how long do deposits take to process? It's actually quite difficult to answer this. And the reason why is because for fiat deposits, it can take roughly a few minutes to a few hours. It actually depends on the bank itself. It depends on your transaction amount. Obviously, if you want to, deposit £50,000 in one single transaction, I don't think your bank will easily let that go. There'll probably be certain risk factors involved from your bank. Likewise, for crypto deposits, it can actually vary depending on certain crypto. So for Bitcoin, it can take roughly 10 to 30 minutes. For other cryptocurrencies, it can be quicker or longer. So definitely just double check that everything is, that you've entered all the correct information and your deposit will be processed. There are certain cases where your deposit has failed, and this typically can fall under various reasons. So it could be if you are trying to deposit fiat funds, it could be that you have actually insufficient funds in your bank account. It could be that you're reaching your daily limit. You actually surpassed your daily limit, so actually now your deposit has failed. Or there are certain risk factors as well. So sometimes our systems actually flag certain suspicious activity. Let's say for 30 days you haven't done any deposits, and then one day you do a massive deposit. Our system will flag certain types of behavioral patterns as well. So it sometimes can be flagged like that as well. There's a third kind of issue which we see some users have is, they've already verified their identity, but now they're being asked to verify again to deposit. So the reason why is because some accounts kind of get flagged for compliance risk. This can be due to many reasons, such as being of a certain age, being from a certain country of residence, or having similar or exact name with bad actors. So this is quite common. We do see some users. Obviously, we do actually have millions of users on our platform from all over the world. It's rarely the case that certain users are flagged for similar or exact names, but it does happen. So if you do have a common name, you might fall under this category. We also do find that certain age and certain countries are more high risk. So if you're of a certain age that is more vulnerable, then you might fall under this category. And then we'll ask you to actually verify further to be sure that that we know that you're able to kind of transact, and the same with countries of residence. So whenever you are flagged for compliance risk, we actually ask these accounts to verify with the address verification, which I previously mentioned in section 2. So if this is the case with you, I totally understand your frustration, but these are certain compliance risk factors that we have to comply with. And essentially, all users that are flagged have to do this. So once you're verified with address verification, issues should be resolved. Some further helpful tips and advice. So if you do have any further issues with your bank deposit or your crypto deposit, please contact live support and provide the following evidence. For fiat deposits, please provide your bank statement showing the full name and deposit amount. If it's for a crypto deposit, transaction ID, your deposit, or sometimes referred to as receive address, and the token name. This will actually allow our customer support team to identify and actually investigate further. It's not uncommon that sometimes your fiat deposits can take longer than a few minutes, a few hours. As I mentioned before, some deposits get flagged for certain risk factors, so it can likely take longer for it to resolve. So if you proactively reach out to our live support customer support team and provide these information, we'll be able to process these transactions faster. And just to kind of finalize, for crypto deposits, if you do send crypto to a wrong deposit address or you use the wrong network, you do risk losing all the funds. It's just the case with crypto. It's not user-friendly in that way, especially if there's over 26 to 35 characters. Please, please, please double check that all the letters are correct, that you're depositing to the right deposit address, and that you're using the right network. We do find some users do make these mistakes, and sadly, you actually risk losing all these funds. Section, moving on to how to trade and buy crypto. So moving on through this section, so there's actually three main ways to trade in Binance. There's Binance buy crypto with cash balance, there's buy crypto with a debit and credit card, and there's buy crypto with the spot exchange. There's also additional methods to buy crypto. You can buy crypto with OTC, which is referred to as over the counter and convert, and then buy crypto with P2P. This allows you to actually buy crypto with physical cash and actually meet face-to-face with people. So I've actually broken these down into kind of levels of usage. So the first two, buy crypto with cash balance and debit credit card, these are mainly aimed at beginners. So people that have no experience of trading, that have no experience with crypto, but they just want to buy and sell. Those two, the top two, are the best methods to do that. If you're somewhat sophisticated and you're a more advanced trader, then you would be familiar with our spot exchange. I will touch on this later on, but I think the purpose of this presentation is just to get users familiar with the main ways. I'm not going to touch on OTC and P2P for this masterclass, but I will probably dedicate another masterclass for those two individually. So the first thing is to kind of understand the user journey. So you first register an account, you've then verified your account, so you've unlocked fiat limits. Now you've deposited funds into your account, so you've deposited either fiat or crypto. Let's say you've deposited GBP, you actually have some GBP in your Binance wallet. Now, what's the next stage? How do you actually buy crypto? So go on the home page, go on the navigation bar, click on buy crypto, make sure you select GBP when it says pay with, and then you can actually see it right there, cash balance. So click on the cash balance and then you'll be directed to the page on the right. This is actually a really simple page. It's actually quite simple and quite easy to use. So I'm not going to touch on more about this. You just essentially type in your amount that you have in your GBP. So if you have 100 GBP that you deposited, you can spend up to 100 GBP to buy crypto. And then you can choose the coin that you want to buy, and then you buy BTC. It's as simple as that. So the second stage, or the second method to buy crypto, is the credit and debit card. And similar to the previous process, you go on the navigation bar, you hover over buy crypto, and then instead of clicking cash balance, you actually click on credit debit card. And similar to the previous section, the UI interface it's the same. It's just now you're using a different method. Now you're using credit and debit card instead of your cash balance. So same process, you type in the amount that you have, select the coin that you want to buy, and then you type in your credit and debit card information. And then that's actually how to buy crypto using the first two beginner methods. Now, I think most people want to understand, how do they buy and trade crypto using the spot exchange? It's a bit more sophisticated, so I definitely would recommend people to read more and watch more videos from other people as well. I'll just give a really top level summary. So essentially for trading and buying crypto using the spot exchange, you have to go on the navigation bar, click on markets this time, and then you'll be directed to what you see as this page here. Now I'm just going to zoom in that page so you can actually see it more clearly. Now there's a lot going on, I agree. I'm just going to go step by step on what to do. So starting from the top, click on spot markets. And then the second, the link below that, click on fiat markets, and then click on GBP. Now, what this does is, this is essentially a filter option. So you're filtering, from all the spot, for all the spot trading pairs, you're just looking at the fiat markets and specifically looking at GBP trading pairs. So that's what you see on this left hand here. You see all the GBP trading pairs and all the coins associated that. So let's take Bitcoin, which is BTC/GBP as an example. So what this means is BTC, or the first the first few letterings before the /, that's indicative of the token. So Bitcoin will be BTC, Ethereum will be ETH, XRP will be Ripple, BNB will be Binance Coin, and etc. and etc. So we use actually symbols, or we use tickers to shorten the abbreviation of cryptocurrencies. So let's take Bitcoin BTC, for example. So BTC GBP. So BTC is what you want to have or what you want to buy, and GBP is what you currently have. So for this case, we would go on BTC GBP. We would go on trade, and then this is what you can see when you go to the next page. Again, it's a bit more complicated. I'm just going to go over step by step. So at the top left-hand corner, you can see the actual trading pair. You can actually see the price. You can also see some cryptocurrencies or sub-crypto trading pairs also have multipliers. So like, for example, Bitcoin GBP has 3x. Now, you don't need to know what 3x means. It's basically, in short, it's just leverage. You can trade using leverage. And essentially, you have the option to do that if you want to. Now, this is not standard. You don't need to kind of opt to do this. It's just more it's people that want to gain higher risk. So moving on to the next section, which you can see here highlighted, it's the timeline. So you can actually break down this graph, this chart here based on different time intervals. So currently we have it on 1 hour. So what this means is each candle, which you can see here, whether it's green or red, is 1 hour. So this indicates all of these candles are 1 hour, and you can actually see here based on 1 hour view whether the market's going up, whether the market's going down. So you can actually change this interval depending on your preference. And then the next would be the traded pairs. So you can actually see all the trading pairs here. You can actually navigate more conveniently on this section to your right. Now moving on to the left-hand side, this is what is typically referred to as the order book. The order book is essentially a live order view, a live view of all the current orders in the market. So these are this is the orders that are non-market related. So these are orders like limit orders, stop limit orders, OCO. I'm going to touch on what they mean individually in the next few sections, but these are essentially all the active and open orders in the current market at this moment. And then the last section is obviously the way to kind of set and actually place orders, which I mentioned. You got the limit order here, you got the market order, you got the stop limit order, and you got the OCO as well. I'm just going to go individually on what they mean. So very simply, market order is you're buying a crypto at the market price. And what I mean by the market price is it's essentially what the price is at that moment when you click on buy. So this is a very simple way of buying crypto. And most people use market orders to buy crypto. Now, what happens if you actually don't want to buy on the market price and you want to buy at a price in the future that you think it will go up or down? Then you would actually go to what's referred to as a limit order. A limit order is basically where you can set your price and you can set the amount that you want to buy. So this is a predetermined order that you can place that only until the price hits that your order then fulfills. But what happens if you actually want to go a step ahead of that and you want to place a stop limit? And essentially, you don't want to you want to mitigate your risk, and essentially you want to kind of gain a better market price. So a stop limit order will be executed at a specified price after a given stop price has been reached. So once the stop price has been reached, the stop limit order becomes a limit order to buy or sell at the price, the limit price or better. So it's essentially a different mechanism for you to be able to buy and place orders. Now, a step ahead of that, if you're more sophisticated and more advanced, you can use the OCO, which stands for one cancels the other, OCO, which is basically a pair of orders combined in a stop limit and a limit maker order on the same side with the same order quantity. So what this means is when either one of the orders is executed, the stop price is triggered for a stop limit order and the other one is automatically cancelled. So it's essentially you're making not bets, but you're making trades based on what you think the market would go, and whichever one hits first, it will automatically then cancel the other. So that's essentially what an OCO is. Again, it's very all of these different methods to trade is dependent on what you want to achieve. If you just want to just hit at a market price, you don't really care about setting price, then market order would be good, would be better for you. If you want to have a bit more flexibility, limit order, stop limit order. If you want to have a bit more sophisticated sort of order sets, and then OCO is essentially a bit more sophisticated than that. So essentially, we offer the ability to be able to trade conveniently and have as much flexibility to set trades. Now, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see sort of history, your order history. So in the first tab, we have the open orders. Now, something to note here, if you place a trade using stop limit, if you place a trade using a limit, or if you place a trade using the OCO, what you're effectively doing is you're effectively saying to our system, you're putting these funds into the order book, which I mentioned earlier. And that order will only be met until that price meets your target. So effectively, these funds or these open orders are temporarily locked until the order is fulfilled. So this means that if you have, for example, GBP in your wallet, and you place an open order to buy BTC GBP, that GBP in your spot and fiat wallet will actually be removed, temporarily removed, and will be placed on the open order section. So you actually be able to see here your open order. Now, what happens is those funds are not, they're still yours. It's just moved from one place of your wallet to another place. And effectively, if the price doesn't hit, you'll just, those funds will still be locked until the price hits. So if you don't want the open order anymore, you can close the open order, and effectively the funds will then reappear in your spot and fiat wallet. Moving on to the order history, you can see here, so based on your open orders, you'll be able to see all your order history, how much you bought, how much you sold, what's the average you got, what type of order you did, whether it's a buy or sell, what time, the status, whether it filled or whether you cancel it. So it's a more sophisticated overview of your order transaction history. And then your trader history is just pretty much the same as your order history. It just allows you to see, for example, the fees that were generated from that order, from that open order, and order history as well. So that's pretty much concludes the section from trading and buying crypto. Now, that was quite a big section. We did cover how to sort of buy crypto using three main methods. We touched on how to buy crypto using your cash balance, your debit and credit card, and we touched on how to use the spot exchange. We touched on how to filter to find GBP related coins. We then went into a trading pair, Bitcoin versus GBP trading pair. We looked at the interface, we broken down each of the sections, and then we looked at how to kind of, what are the different types of orders that we can set. Now, I do get some common questions regarding, like, I want to buy X coin, for example. This can be any coin, but I can't find it on the spot GBP trading pair listing. So if I go back to this slide here, if I keep going back, as you can see here on the left, we have all of the trading pairs that are with GBP. Now we actually only have 12 GBP trading pairs, and we will be adding more as time goes by. But we actually, if you look at USDT, we actually have over 500 coins that are traded against USDT. USDT is more popular within the industry, and it's actually a stable coin. And what I mean by stable coin is it's essentially pegged 1-to-1 in value with the US dollar. So theoretically, $1 would be equivalent to 1 USDT. So in that way, we call it a stable coin because it's stable to the US dollar. So we have more tokens and more coins with USDT trading pairs. So if you do find that you want to buy X coin or any coin that is not on the GBP trading pair, you have to essentially buy USDT, and then USDT, you would then have to buy the respective token or coin. So to put this in steps, you buy USDT with GBP using the GBP USD trading pair. So similar to before, you just buy USDT with your GBP. You go back to markets and filter using the USD trading pair section. You find the relevant coin. For example, if you want to buy X coin, you find X coin /USDT, and then you actually buy the X coin with your USDT. So it's essentially you're just taking an extra step to buy that coin. And then it's the same going backwards if you want to sell the coin. If there is no respective GBP trading pair for that coin, you have to sell to USDT, and then USDT you then sell to GBP. So it's essentially an extra step. So like I mentioned, we have 12 coins in GBP. We'll be adding more coins as time goes by. But for USDT, we do see a lot of variety. So you can definitely take your pick using USDT trading pairs. If there's any issues, any problems with your orders, not seeing funds, missing assets in your wallet, contact customer live support and attach any screenshots of the issue, and then they'll be able to assist you further. So moving on to the next section, which is how to secure account. So securing your account is very critical, especially in this industry, as we are, most people are targeted and most people don't know, they don't have a lot of knowledge on cryptocurrencies, so they are more susceptible to hackers and scammers. So securing your account allows you to add that level of security and reassurance that your funds will not be hacked or stolen from. So you actually have already completed one of the 3 major steps to secure account. If you registered an account using your email, you would have already set up your email verification code. The next 2 are Google authentication and then mobile SMS. And then I'll also touch on the additional security measures such as the YubiKey verification and the anti-phishing code as well. So moving on to the first step. So how to secure account, pretty similar, pretty easy. You hover over your profile icon, click on security. You can actually see here now, you have, I guess, 4 different ways to secure account. Security key, your Google authentication, your SMS authentication, your email address. Your email address should have already been done. So we're going to touch on how to kind of verify how to secure account using Google authentication. So first things first, click on the on button. You'll then receive a pop-up that says to download the app. You can actually download the app via your iOS or Android. And then you essentially on your mobile phone, once you've downloaded the app, you then have to scan the QR code, which you can see here. I've tried to scan it. What that does is it allows you to generate a key, which is in this regard, it's 6-digit number. And essentially what happens is this 6-digit number, you have to apply it to the Google verification code. And then at the same time, we'll also send a email verification code just to make sure. So typically the email verification code, once you click on send code, it will send you an email with a 6-digit number. You have to type that 6-digit number here from your email, and then at the same time, type that 6-digit number here as well. There's usually a time limit. It's usually roughly 60 seconds. So 60 seconds, I think this is 30 seconds. So Google Authenticator the code will refresh after 30 seconds. So, so you have to be quick in regards to doing all the verification. So once you've put your 6-digit code for both Google verification and email address, you now have successfully linked your Google Authenticator. So the next step after this is to secure account using phone or SMS. So this is pretty simple. You click on, and then you'll be given a pop-up which allow you to enter your phone number. And then similar to the previous step, you'll click on send code, and then it will send a code to your phone number. Again, it's 6-digit long. And then at the same time, you have to do the same thing with email verification and the Google verification. Now, something to bear in mind that is, remember, there is a time limit on these codes. So if you send your email verification code, the code that you receive in an email will be valid for a certain period of time, and the same thing for the Google verifications code. So you have to be very fast at doing all of the three and making sure that you receive the codes for each individual ones within the time frame. So once you've set up your Google Authenticator, you've also linked your mobile SMS. The additional security measures that you can do to help secure account even further, which is a security key. And an example of a security key is called YubiKey. And essentially what a security key is just like, it's a way for you to secure account using fingerprint, finger touch. So YubiKey, you can see here as an example. They come in all shapes and sizes, different formats, different makers. Typically the cost for a YubiKey would range about £40 to £70. I would recommend people have a YubiKey or some type of security key, because it allows you to secure your account even further. So essentially, the same step of that, you then have to click on setup. You then, insert your YubiKey into your laptop or your desktop computer, and then you just have to, touch these for a certain period of time, and that's essentially you've binded your security key with your account. Now the last security measure, which would be setting up an anti-phishing code. So this is actually quite simple as well, and definitely recommend everyone to do this. So setting up an anti-phishing code will essentially allow you to create a unique text, which in this case is BTC20K. You can create any code or any lettering that you want. And essentially what happens is, once you've created it, whenever you receive an automated email from Binance, you'll be able to see your anti-phishing code on the email. Now this is useful because in case you do get emails claiming to be from Binance saying you need to reset your account and you don't see this anti-phishing code, then you know it's not from Binance, it's from a impersonator or hacker, for example. So definitely set up the anti-phishing code. It'll allow you to identify if the email was sent out from Binance, and if it's not, you can report it and ignore the email. So again, those are some helpful tips to secure account even further. Now, if you do have any issues with receiving codes, your email code, Google authentication code, or mobile SMS code, I've provided some FAQ articles to sort of diagnose further. Now, if you do have any issues please contact live support and explain the issue to our customer support team. They'll be able to diagnose and help investigate further. Something to note is if you have created an account using mobile SMS, you cannot use it for another account. So you cannot use the same authentication for another account. This is something to keep on top of. Hi everyone, I'm going to be showing you how to use Binance live chat and how to speak with a live agent directly. So you've probably seen this, this FAQ guide. It's a step-by-step guide on actually how to speak with a live agent. I'm just going to show it to you by demonstration. So first things first, you go to Binance.com and then you go to the bottom right-hand corner, which you click support, and then you'll be able to see a pop-up. This pop-up will be the live chat interface. And in this interface, you'll be able to see some pre-selected options and some categories that you can click on. For example, if you have a problem with your deposits, if you have a problem with your account, withdrawals, P2P, or crypto deposits, you can click on one of these sections. If your particular issue is not covered by the pre-filled questions, just type in your issue below. And you'll be able to see, for example, the relevant guide. So let's say we have a issue with your bank deposit via faster payments. You can just click on one of the options. If you don't see an option that is relevant, still click on one of the options available, because what's going to happen is a bot will reply with a helpful guide on how to resolve the issue. If, for example, the bot response you feel is not satisfactory or doesn't help solve your issue, you can click on resolved. And then what's going to happen is you'll be able to now be transferred to a live agent. So now when you transfer to a live agent, it will tell you your estimated waiting time. And what's going to happen is you're going to be waiting in queue until you speak to a live agent. Now, the customer support live chat function works in offline mode, so I can go off from this, get on with my business, and then I will not lose my queue. So what's going to happen now is in order for you to solve your issue sufficiently, I would recommend typing in a lot of detail your main issue, attach any documents you have here, and then wait for a reply. You're also able to see, for example, the case ID at the top, which you can use this to escalate.